Rick, how you feeling?
Well, I'm a little wounded right now, Dan. The last time I came on your show, the first thing you talked about was flushing something. Why do I remind you of a toilet? What's up with that?
Sorry. It's just a subliminal thought there on your part there. Don't mean any harm.
Buddy, doing great. Great to be with you. Will I see you in Chicago?
Well, I didn't make
Yes.
plans for it, but I'd like to go. I just don't know how crazy it is since I work on Sunday on Football Night in America, but I'd like to.
Come in for Game 3 for Friday. Then I promise you, you'll be thinking of your karaoke songs to play at Murphy's after the game.
Oh,
But
God.
that's our go-to now. The hockey pucks, Chelios, and those guys, they rig some machine up, and it's a lot of fun. Joe Buck did it, so there's no reason you can't think of something to come up with.
How many ticket requests have you got?
Oh, well, ones that I've returned, probably 40. I don't know that I'm going to be able to help all of them, but we're going to get as many of them in as we can. We got Mr. Barkley will be there. I got a call from my good buddy Kitch Brooks. Eddie will be there. Vedder will be there. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't think of anything I've done that's going to be more fun than what this series will be.
It feels like we're supposed to be rooting for the Cubs, that America is supposed to be. If you don't have any team in this, if you're not an Indians fan, then you're supposed to root for the Cubs. The Indians' pretty good story here, and you being a former Indian yourself, how big a story is this from the Cleveland perspective?
Well, Dan, as you know, I played a couple of years there before being traded to the Cubs. I know what it was like then. I know how difficult it was. I know what it was like before the new ballpark. The thing to me, as I look back, the Boston Red Sox were a lot better man for man than the Indians were. I did the Toronto and Texas series. I saw how Toronto just manhandled the Texas Rangers, and I felt like they were a much better team than Cleveland. It's this chemistry, it's this connector that they talk about with Terry Francona. No different than what he did in Boston. I thought he had more ability in Boston. But, there's that platoon thing that they talk about where they map out, how you put together a lineup and how you use your bullpen. He far and away ran away with the best numbers in baseball, putting people in a situation where they have a chance to be successful. It's just been the magic of him that's gotten them this far. Again, on paper, I think most people would say the Cubs are better, but do not ever, count out a Terry Francona team.
But also, we have this lovable loser label with the Cubs, and I said this yesterday. I said the Cub fans I know never embrace that. It's not. I mean, what else were they going to do? They went to the games, therefore they must be lovable losers because they're supporting a team that's not any good. You played there. You're attached to that city. Are they lovable losers? Were they lovable losers?
I don't think so. I think that's something, Dan, that maybe just the media made up. You're exactly right. I was never around a player that felt that way. We had a couple of opportunities in 84 and 89. It got away from us. And I was talking to somebody the other day about, does this team feel the pressure of 108 years? No, they don't. I'm telling you right now, if you walked up and asked Addison Russell if I ever played the game, he wouldn't know, okay? He doesn't know. You think about Chris Bryant, okay? The 3 years before he got there, they finished in dead last in their division. They've done this guy's done nothing but win throughout his whole life. He gets there, they play in the National League Championship his first year in the big leagues. They're playing in the World Series this year. He had nothing to do with 107 years. He's had everything to do with turning this franchise around and giving them, as we all know, an opportunity to win for a long, long time.
Talking to Rick Sutcliffe of the Mothership joining us. I saw a column, I think it was over the weekend, that said that, be careful what you ask for, Cub fans. You might lose your identity if you win a World Series. What do you make of that? Don't you want to lose your identity?
Dan, what I think of, and I'm sure at some point in the past I've told you this story, but we clinched in '84 in Pittsburgh. They hadn't been to the playoffs in 39 years. We come back from that road trip. We get to the clubhouse that morning, and Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Fergie Jenkins, Ron Santo were in the clubhouse, okay? Yeah, I knew who a lot of them were. But Ron Santo came up to me and he grabbed me by my shirt collar, and I mean to the point where I couldn't get away. And he looked at me and he had tears in his eyes, and he goes, "I'll never be able to thank you. Thank you for helping these fans forget about what happened in 1969." Now, Dan, at that point, I had no clue. I didn't know about a black cat. I didn't know anything. I knew Ron Santo's name. I had never met him before. I didn't know that was him until somebody later on told me. I hope at some point this year, next year, whenever, I hope at some point to be able to walk up to Theo Epstein and do the same thing, to help people forget about, the disappointments. Yeah, we had a great time during the summer of '84 and '89, but we fell short. I hope to be able to do that sometime. So I don't feel like any identity or lovable loser or anything like that is in the equation. I think it's a matter of just getting this over with. And I'm sure the people of Cleveland feel the same way. It's been a long time for them.
Which manager would you want to pitch for?
I know Terry as a teammate. I know him as a friend, as one of the funnier guys I've ever been around. I've never been around anybody in baseball smarter than Joe Madden. He did things in Tampa that were so far ahead of the curve that him and Zimmer, they came up with that safety squeeze. And then all of a sudden, after they pulled it on St. Louis last year and won a playoff game, his first emphasis in spring training was on how to defend it. And he came up with a plan for that, knowing that teams were going to throw it at him. I got to be honest with you. I got to know Tito real well back when he was managing Boston. Through doing the games for MLB International, I spent a lot of Octobers with him. But I've not been in uniform with Terry Francona other than as a teammate. The last couple of years I've been in uniform. Well, since Steele been there with the Cubs, but the last 2 years I've been there every day of spring training with the Cubs, and just watching how Joe Madden, just how he connects with players, how he wants to know everything about you so that he knows, what he can do to get the best out of you.
What if the Cubs don't win?
I think back to something Larry Lucchino told me a long time ago when he was with the Padres. He's kind of the one that got me into broadcasting and baseball. And he said, I consider it a good year when we're in contention on my birthday. And his birthday was September 1st. And I think it'll still be looked at as a great year. Anybody that's been there they asked me to come back and throw out the first pitch to game one of the league championship against the Dodgers. After walking out of the ballpark that night, I mean, just the great feeling that they have, the sense of pride that they have filled in their fans and in that city. It's going to be a disappointment. I mean, it hurts more to get to this point and lose than it does to be out of it, in the middle of August. But it's hard for me to look at it that way because this team has played so well all year long. I mean, it's just a matter of putting it together for 4 more games, and it's going to be exciting to see which team can do that.
Before I let you go, aside from the obvious, give me your sneaky most valuable player, whether he's named that or not, but this guy could be a difference maker.
All right. I'll give you the one I'm pulling for, and that's Kyle Schwarber. We've had a DH who's been a most valuable player. Matsui did that for the Yankees a few years ago. This is Barry Bonds. Literally, I don't know this. Steele's never told me. I've heard a rumor that they could have had Andrew Miller if they wanted to give up Schwarber. This is one of the best young kids that I've ever been around, and offensively, other than Barry Bonds, I've never seen a better swing. I know what rehab's like. I've been through it, Dan. You've done it with your knees a couple of times. You know how hard that work is to get in. I'm really pulling for him to be able to be in the lineup and to maybe do something to help the Cubs.
Great talk to you. Safe travels as always, and have fun.
I'll see you Friday, buddy.
See you, Rick.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.